What's up? You made it. You made it to the end of 2023. Congratulations. In the note, I said you did it. You have the world's best cup of coffee here at Coffee and Analytics. Hard to say. You've made it through a year of learning more about franchising and hopefully impacting your business. So today, I had 12 themes that I put in the notes. I feel like I gotta make sure that Santa hat is showing a little bit more. There we go. So I have 12 things that I put in this month's notes that I want to go through and hopefully give you guys some insights. As always, if you're watching live, would love for you to interact. Use the chat feature, ask questions. I'll make sure to answer them. But here we go. Last one of the year. So the first thing, data. Beginning of 22, we looked at all the franchisees that we work with, new openings or signings. I said, look, if we're going to go into nearly every client call and be asked the question, where are my leads or what's going on with my leads, then we needed to take a different step in understanding how lead generation works. Now, for a long time, I've had my opinions on it, but shame on us, we didn't look at a collective response from franchisees to determine how can we best impact the brands that we work with. So when we started asking questions about their buyer journey, how much it took for them to get comfortable with franchising, what obstacles do they have to overcome, what is their age, how many brands do they look at, it started giving us great insights to help our franchisors figure out this thing that's super complex called lead generation. Now, going into it, I had stopped saying that PR is lead generation. I've always said that PR is lead awareness, and I encourage other agencies not to call it lead generation because the generation of the lead is typically done through a website. It's no longer I land on your website and I pick up the phone and I call. It's more so I land on your website after collecting my information and then I make a decision to buy. Still, there's now 3 key focuses that my advice and some of our structures that we go as we go into next year that we're hyper focusing in on. One is the insight that culture is king. It's not like that's a surprise, but oftentimes the franchise sales website starts off with buy my franchise. I don't even think that should be the first message any longer. But the first message really from the franchisor needs to show what is the culture. You think about a franchisee who's going to invest their life savings into a brand that they have little to no control over. That's a complex thing, but it's even more complex for them that they probably have established 1 or 2 core skills, and now you're being asked to be a business owner and operate something in various categories: supply chain management, people management, real estate landlord dealings, product management, pricing, loyalty. So you add all these elements into business, it's really complex for them. So the culture of your business, if it's really, really dedicated to the support of your franchisees and you are invested in helping them go from 1 unit to scale, then showcase that, scream it from the top of the rooftop, and show how you're slightly different. I believe in a world of private equity, and I can see this in some of the acquisitions that brands have gone through. Once the culture turns into P&L management, then decisions that impact the franchisee negatively happen more frequently. I'm going on TV next week to talk about franchising in 2024. And so we did a preliminary interview today, and I spoke about this swing of support that a founder-based business or where the executive team is super committed to the success of the franchisee is where I would want to put my money. Because if I were a franchise buyer and franchise fees have skyrocketed, then I want to be in a place where I will have the highest and best chance at success. And oftentimes those are the intangibles that might not appear in an FDD. They appear in the approach that the franchisor is taking. So culture came out of this data. business model came out of the data. I wish we could help every franchisor that has a dream of selling franchises. Sometimes I say take a step backwards and work on perfecting the viability of the business opportunity. In that moment, doesn't mean it wasn't viable in the past. It doesn't mean it can't be viable tomorrow. It just means in this moment, improving the viability of the business opportunity and then selling franchises. I think about a tree. I think about how a tree is created. The seed is planted, water, nutrients, sunlights, over and over and over again continues to help that tree continue to grow. But in franchising, sometimes we skip over the foundational elements and go right to we need to sell franchises. And sometimes that creates some blocks. And sometimes that means your leads aren't going to come as fast or as quickly as you want. Now, we do have a brand that we represent that when we get PR for them, they get leads galore. But the PR is creating awareness that their unit has opened in the marketplace. And there's lines outside the door because they work diligently to perfect the product, simplify the operations, and ensure the customer is getting what they want. So when the PR happens, you hear some noise or some buzz in the marketplace, and now with your eyeballs, you can see the impact that's happening at that restaurant. All of a sudden, now more and more people want to get into the system. So that's where our business model goes lifted front and center. Now, the secret sauce here for 2024 that I think is vital, if all of us go back to the day before we got into franchising, and I've been asking this question on Meet the Zor, Meet the Z, and Meet the Supplier podcast, where I'm saying, go back to this day before you got involved in franchising. Did you understand what it was? And the answer is, well, no. Okay, park that. Go to your franchise website right now. Think about your franchisee. Do they understand what franchising is? Probably not. What resources, what culture are you giving them on the education of what franchising is? Very little. And this is why ultimately 1851 continues to have the climb in traffic that it does. It's because we're giving the educational material out there to the buyer to make them feel comfortable and confident about what franchising is. So when you get this big document called an FDD, what are you supposed to do with it? When you're talking to another franchisee and asking them, would you do this again? Here are some of the indicators you're looking for, the positives, negatives, and neutrals to help you make the decision to buy. And so this is the secret to 2023. We have the culture and the business model down. Lift up the culture, make sure it's seen. And that's not testimonials. That's actually the culture of how you're going to support your franchisees. And your belief that franchisees are really the most important structure to winning. If we looked at math, franchisee X gets support, franchise Y does not. Franchise X tends to go up in sales. Sales creates royalties. Royalties creates legendary brands when you can cash flow through these royalties. So none of this is a surprise to any of you. It's just the way that the structure is built. So that was number one. I promise you, I'll go faster. I always hit our 30 minutes. We are not evolving fast enough. Even though the above information, that data is steady, we are not building on what is franchising guides or how our brand stands out or how we lift your business confidence. This will change in 2024. Why? The brokers have done this on a macro level, and therefore they're taking the lead on educating the franchisee. So this is where the education of the buyer ends up being super important. Look back at your sales process today, tomorrow, next week, and just look. Obviously, email 1 is let's get the candidate on the phone. But is email 2, let's explain what franchising is? Is email 3 setting the expectations that it will take 90 days to close this deal? Reframe some of that work. Let's go back to pre-pandemic. Number 3, buyers have more tools than ever to research the right opportunity for themselves. They're equipped with tons of information. Thus, you must elevate your online presence. So online presence is so important. Google your category, see what comes up. Google your brand name, see what comes up. Look at the journey of how buyers are going to find your business. In the old days, a buyer may go to a franchise expo to get a digest of what opportunities exist. In a nearer older day, they may have gone to a franchise portal to understand what business opportunities exist. Now they don't need it. It's all the information's online. It's not hard for them to figure out where things are. Now, I do think there's an important opportunity to build a digest of opportunities, which, if you haven't seen, is something that we're diligently focused on with Growth Club, is building out an inventory of brands that exist. The reason being, think about when you buy a house. You call Coldwell Banker, you engage an agent. The agent doesn't just show you Coldwell Banker houses, and the agent isn't going to get higher commissions based on showing you just Coldwell Banker houses. They're going to show you all the inventory that aligns to a few things. What are your passions on a home? Modern, older, rehab, whatever that is. And how much can you afford? And where do you want to live? So it's interesting, like the roadmaps here in franchising, if you said, here's how much money I have as a buyer, what exists, and then align it to what are my passions, and then align it to are they available in my market, there's no tool to do this. So we're working on this in 2024. Thank you to the 30 brands that have onboarded into this process. More to come on that as well. Number 4, PR will always be credibility, but rarely lead generation or immediate gratification. What we have found through conversations and through correlation is that you want to have a frequency component. The magic is one time a week in the media, and that's the goal to best impact the brand sentiment and lead awareness impact. You still want PR as a part of the mix. It's still like it's old school influencer marketing where media members are talking about your story. It's much better to have a wingman to say you're awesome than for you to walk around and say you're awesome. It just comes out more authentic. It should be in the mix, but don't have crazy expectations from it. Again, with that 6.4 months of the time it's taking from impression to inquiry, PR will be a component to help accelerate that, but sometimes it's not a magic piece. The brokers are getting very expensive and transparency is coming. Number 5. 5 golden rings. You shouldn't have to pay giant amounts. You should certainly have to pay for lead generation. There's a cost of doing business, but not too much where you're left with fewer resources to impact the franchise buyer. We're trying to solve this with Growth Club. So my viewpoint is, in today's world, franchisors prioritize growth at all costs. But the dollars that come in off that franchise fee have to give you the tools to go support that franchisee. It goes back to the culture piece that I said at the beginning of this. So there's going to have to be some sort of rotation. I see it coming both from a government standpoint on, California talking about disclosing how much brokers are paid in the FDD, to just pure good people, good franchise brokers saying, all right, let's figure out a pathway to have the highest and best impact. Now, number 6, however, the broker consultant community has done a tremendous job at situating themselves at the top of the funnel, especially for brands that don't have immediate dream, like you have to fall in love with the product. Like, there are definitely fans of pizza brands where they're like, man, that pizza was the best pizza I ever had. I would like to buy a pizza brand. But majority of buyers say, here's how much money I have. I don't know where to start. And the brokers have done a great job at the top of the funnel saying, hey, you don't know where to start, talk with us. Again, where I think there's an opportunity to get better is if that broker says, what are you passionate about? Don't lead the witness to a brand that doesn't align with their mission or values. Make sure you stay on the up and up in the way that you're approaching driving the candidate through. Number 7, everybody wants more leads. There's no doubt about it, but very few brands are looking at the indicators holistically, from the construct of the business offering to the marketing approach to the nurturing plan. We're going to simplify and amplify the solutions in 2024 to try to help you get there. very simply, and I've brought this up before, if you want to know the predictability in your funnel, go to your Google Analytics, rank your cities, see what cities are getting lift, correlate that back to how many leads are coming in those markets. It'll give you good insight whether you have the tools to win currently or your funnel is building the right way. Number 8, 2024 could be turbulent. Presidential election always creates angst. Mixing uncertainties with the economy. I beg you to stay the course. Remember, franchise buyers come out of the woodwork when they're afraid for their jobs. They see business ownership as a more stable approach to paying their bills and replacing their salaries. So turbulent is really good for franchising. So if you've ever been on a plane with that one crazy person who loves the turbulence, that's your mentality as you hit 2024. Number 9, I truly believe in the rule of 3. Make sure your candidates can afford 3 locations. You don't necessarily have to sell them a 3-pack. More so, just make sure they're financially equipped to not stress about the ups and downs in business. I think this is a true opportunity. Now, what that does, it puts another layer on the franchise sales process for sure. But I think it gives a tremendous opportunity for your approach to qualification that you're bringing in scaling franchisees. Imagine if you had 25 franchisees who signed next year and each of them opened up 5 units. That's a pretty impressive brand, and you've done the right work to get there. So think through the rule of 3. Number 10, above all, just be nice. Our competitors have taken a brass approach to saying 1851 doesn't work. It's storytelling. How can it not work? Or our approach doesn't work. I promised all of you from the very beginning that we would always make data-backed decisions and go on a mission to delight you. Competition is healthy. There's enough business for all. But to all the competitors out there, just be nice. We can all play nicely in the sandbox. Number 11, but this raises our need as a business to show you better. We want transparency in what we can do better in service, relationship, strategy, and results. And you'll find that someone on our team is asking our clients those questions because we believe those are the 4 reasons, a combination of them, why someone makes a shift in agencies. And so we're going to continue to invest and overinvest in client experience. We're not perfect, but we are on a mission to give you above and beyond. We appreciate you, which is why in 2023, I was super proud of our launching of FranCamp, which was $0 to our clients. We wanted to create an experience that showed that we were willing to go and interested in going above and beyond, and we're grateful for that. And number 12 is just generally happy holidays and take a minute to enjoy the people around you. The end of life. We won't be worried about how many franchises we sold. We care about the people we impacted and those who impacted us. Find gratitude. It's important. And as you swing into next year, keep that in mind. I think it will help you in the tough times. It will help you stay the course. It'll help you win at franchising. I believe everybody can win at franchising. The example I constantly give when I'm talking to a brand is that it's the scene from Apollo 13. They throw all the crap on the table. They say, we got to get the boys home. I think every brand has the crap on the table. Sometimes they just haven't orchestrated or organized or put the puzzle pieces together to impact the business as much as possible. A very good friend of mine has now done this in the last 2 places where he has taken his job. He gets in there and he says, all right, let's get the foundational elements strong. As a part of getting the foundational elements strong, he lifts over rocks. He looks under these rocks and sees what's there. In one brand, he lifted over rocks because he didn't trust that there was a sales process because he couldn't find it. And he found 100 deals. He's doing that again in this next one. And yes, I said 100 deals. Be willing to look under things of the past. Sometimes your candidates just weren't ready. Maybe we didn't educate them what franchising was. Maybe we lost out an opportunity to show our culture. Take these insights, put them to work. And I do believe that you can have an amazing 2024 by putting that together. I am grateful for all of you who have watched this and have been a part of our journey in 2023. Looking forward to continuing the story in 2024. We all love franchising. We all love what we do. Happy holidays to you and to your family. And if you're bored next week, if you watch this, next week's my planning week. So reach out, say hello. Happy holidays, everybody. This is Coffee and Analytics.